Well, good morning, everybody, and I appreciate you taking the time to join us in our particular panel this morning. I just want to be able to take a few minutes to tell you a bit about who we are and what we do and kind of what we've been up to in 2020. We had a lot of people, when you're told to stay at home right in the peak search season of a summer internship, a lot of people made assumptions, and there were lots of media stories out there that talked about the death of the summer internship in 2020. Happy to report right off the bat that is not true across the board. While we did have some employers who had to make some tough decisions, just like many of us had to make ourselves in March and April in particular, the vast majority of our employer partners around the state continue to offer summer internships. And I can talk a little bit about some of the ones who stayed and went virtual, and some of the ones who had to make some tough choices and not offer in this year. Michi gave our mission statement. So we were founded, we'll be celebrating our 20th birthday next year, right when the state first did research to identify that we were a net exporter of talent in Indiana, and that one of the ways and one of the problems that existed is that our students didn't know what great companies were available in their backyards. Unfortunately, almost 20 years later, that to a certain degree is still true. And so one of the things that we try to do is introduce students to great companies, either in the backyard of where they're going to school or back home that they didn't think of when they head off to a different part of the state for school, and be able to intern and really use that internship as a way to find a job after graduation. So working with our students, when they make a good connection at a company, they're more likely to stay, and our employers, it's a great opportunity through the internship experience to be able to build a talent pipeline and be able to recruit, be able to train, be able to get students ready for what would be their entry-level positions at a lower cost. And so to give some statistics, we matched over 1,200 students and employers around the state in 2019. Again, mentioned that we went down a little bit working through the COVID-19 pandemic, but we still matched over 800 students around the state to internships so far this year. In our neck of the woods, being these 11 counties of the Indiana Uplands, we've had nearly 700 students search for internships this year, but we've only had 83 internships posted from these 11 counties. And so would love the opportunity to be able to kind of expand and kind of shift that balance. A lot of our students actually dove into the internship experience, even if they have just graduated in May, because it was a way for them to be able to connect into the workforce. Couldn't imagine trying to search as a college graduate in this environment. I know Jake can speak to that as well. And so that opportunity to kind of balance the scales a little bit. The good news is that around the state, the Uplands actually matched those postings to filled internships at a higher rate than much of the rest of the state. And so we've had 45 filled internships so far this year from your 11 counties. One thing that we're trying to be able to expand upon and get employers to think about a little bit, not just being able to offer a summer internship, although this is the perfect time to start thinking about how to build a summer internship program if you haven't already. But we have students who are searching all 12 months of the year. We have students who are looking for internships for spring. We have students who looked for fall. About half of our students, when surveyed, said they were looking for fall internships, even if they had just completed a summer internship. A lot of the messaging from our students on campus is it's not just enough to have an internship anymore. You know, to be able to think of, oh, I just finished my junior year of college, or I'm about to start my last semester at Ivy Tech. Yeah, maybe I should think about an internship right now. Students, in order to stand out from their peers, are looking for multiple internships, multiple years of schooling along the way. And so that opportunity to be able to connect with students even earlier in the experience, being able to connect with students in their first year at Ivy Tech in Bloomington, being able to connect to a freshman or a sophomore at IU or other institutions around the state. And so one other opportunity to be able to think about that we are actually building within our platform right now. We do all of our work at IndianaINTERNnet. Happy to show on itself. Interested that matching marketplace is what brings together our students, employers, and educators around the state. But we're actually building a micro internship network for winter break. So for you all who may not be connected with college students in particular, most of our work is with college students. They're all getting sent home at Thanksgiving this year. So whether their academic semesters continue, if it's a residential college around the state, they have all said, well, we'll just wrap up virtually. We had you come on campus. We didn't have a fall break. We didn't have Labor Day. And when we have Thanksgiving, you're not coming back because we don't want to inadvertently bring COVID back into our college communities. What that has created is about a 6-week period from late November, early December into mid-January, where our students can work. They can balance the virtual learning environments, and they can work, and they can have a shorter experience. So there may be a project that's on your desk that just needs a few weeks of your time. That's where a micro internship would come into play. And so we'll be hosting those and giving priority to those on the platform to be able to connect our students and employers to that extra opportunity. We surveyed our students, and over 3/4 of them said that they would consider or strongly consider a micro internship experience. And the good news is it wasn't just for money. Of course, they like the opportunity to have a paid project, but that opportunity to have another chance to either learn about a company or to be able to build on the skills they've learned in the classroom is something that's going to be really important for them. So that's something that be able to visit the platform in the next couple of weeks. We'll be hosting those opportunities and getting them excited. Our goal is we want our students to fall in love with Indiana companies, be able to have strong internship experiences, and then be able to work with groups like Ascend, who are ready to jump into the early career experience. Our best stories are strong interns who become strong early career professionals in the state of Indiana. So we want to be able to work with you together over time to do that. The one other program that we have available within the Indiana INTERNnet platform to help support your experiences is the Employment Aid Readiness Network, or the Earn Indiana program. So this is kind of a system within a system on our website where employers who provide high quality internships to low-income students around the state receive a 50% wage reimbursement for those efforts. So the Earn Indiana Network is a very specific way to guarantee that you're searching for Indiana talent, because you have to be a Hoosier student to qualify for the program. Our students who are Earn Indiana eligible are also disproportionately first-generation students, disproportionately students of color. So I hope whenever we talk about internship and early career opportunities, we recognize those can also be diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. And so for companies, you may be having a great time recruiting talent, but you're also working on your DEI efforts. It was great to hear that in the sector panel talked about just in our last hour. That internships can be a way to build your DEI pipeline at your companies as well. And so that opportunity, again, the 50% wage reimbursement, it is I wouldn't call it a silver lining, but because it is a limited funding program, we had just, unfortunately, we saw that Earn Indiana was actually disproportionately not used this summer. So if you've heard the phrase that this pandemic has exacerbated inequities, that has unfortunately been true for our low-income students, where we saw a dip overall in our use, but we really saw a dip in Earn Indiana, which meant that our low-income students were not connecting to internships in the way that we would hope. And so this program is really a specific way to enhance employers looking at students from low-income backgrounds and being able to help them get that social capital they need through their internship experiences. So I'm happy to talk more about that. Our platform talks specifically about how to qualify for Earn Indiana, but again, it's embedded into our system. So the opportunity to create an account to join us at indianaintern.net and be able to search for students. We've got students searching today. So again, happy to take questions. Otherwise, I will hand it back on.
Thank you, Mike. Really great to hear all that's going on with Indiana INTERNnet. If anyone has questions specific to Mike about Indiana INTERNnet, we will also have some time at the end for some questions broadly about and comments broadly about talent retention and recruitment. Also, you can be sure and put those in the chat as well. Thanks, Mike. Okay. So Jake, we're eager to hear from you.
All right, awesome. I'm going to share my screen momentarily here. Hopefully you all can see it okay. Someone could just give me, awesome, great. Well, great to be with you all today. Thank you so much for taking some time this morning to talk with us. I'm really excited to be here. As Mitchie mentioned, my name is Jake Landgraf. I'm a manager of business development with Ascend, and would love to kind of give you an overview of the work that we do here at Ascend Indiana. For those of you who maybe have not heard of us before, we are a nonprofit headquartered here in Indianapolis that really helps kind of alongside the work that Indiana INTERNnet does, helping college students find internships in their first job after graduation all across the state of Indiana. We were started a few years ago, primarily with our vision to help Indiana become a place of economic opportunity and we really do that through a couple different initiatives. But the one that really want to talk to a little bit more about today is the Ascend Network, which is our job search platform, really designed to help those college students find meaningful, either full-time or internship opportunities all across the state of Indiana. And we're especially excited to be here today because for us, starting off in Indianapolis and thinking about going to work with employers all over the state of Indiana someday, we see the Uplands region as really a key strategic partner with many awesome employers being here, providing really great opportunities for learning, but then also for full-time employment after graduation here in the state. Lots of great partners as well. And then of course, awesome educational partners also. So we're really excited to be with you today. To kind of touch base on obviously the challenge that we're all currently facing right now with COVID-19, over the last few months, Ascend has really kind of had to pivot, I would say, when thinking about how to best serve the folks that we're working with. So one of those pivots, which is really exciting, is that actually within Marion County, and really the central Indiana region, we've actually begun to work with job seekers of all different backgrounds, from a high school diploma to potentially many years of professional experience, now that we've seen many of our friends and neighbors lose employment opportunities due to the pandemic. And so we've been trying to leverage the tech platform that we built, which I can demonstrate in just a little bit here, to help those Hoosiers get connected to new employment opportunities. And that was launched through a strategic partnership with Employ Indy. So far, we're really eager to build that out so that someday in the near future, we can help employers all across the state find talent of all different backgrounds using that platform as well. So that's kind of a little bit more about some of the work that we've been doing lately and some of the new partnerships. But to touch base kind of more so on how the Ascend process works, really what the network is designed to do is to connect employers and help them find pre-qualified early in career talent that's a good fit for their organization. And what that looks like is we work to develop partnerships with employers, higher education institutions, and then of course various different students, of course, to help them get connected to the platform. So first, what we would do with an employer is we really want to meet with them and understand what types of roles they're looking for. Then we work with our 29 higher education partners to help kind of source and vet candidates that we think could be a good fit there. Before the pandemic, we actually were sending recruiters to college campuses, going to career fairs, going to career services centers, and getting to know those folks and onboarding them to the platform. A unique approach about the Ascend Network is prior to any candidate kind of using the platform, they actually have to create a profile alongside a recruiter. So they have a 30-minute meeting to discuss their resume, their interview skills, all the things that they need to really make sure that these folks have everything they need to be successful. We realize that not everyone has, a mom or a dad or a cousin or an uncle that can show them like how to do the internship search or how to do the full-time employment search. So we really try and provide that extra resource there as well. And then we leverage the tech platform that we built, which was actually inspired by online dating sites, which is kind of funny, to help build those connections. So really matching skills to employers that needing those skills, using a matching algorithm, and then of course the human touch of that recruiter. So all of this means is we really try and do a lot of the heavy lifting of looking for candidates, vetting those candidates for their skills, helping them prepare their resume, helping them prepare their interview skills, also that you can spend less time finding really quality folks for your organization. So that's a little bit more about Ascend and the work that we do. Really quickly here, I would love to show you the Ascend Network itself. So hopefully you all can still see my screen with the Ascend Network. This is what the landing page looks like within the network. Like I mentioned, we really like to lean into the human-centered approach. So we always feature a success story of someone who's used the platform to secure a position. We also like to feature different companies in their vicinity that they might be a good fit to check out, looking for roles and opportunities. On the main employer profile here, this is what we build for all of our employer partners. At this point, we're getting close to about 500 employer partners all across the state of Indiana. So we build out a little bit more information for them for candidates to consume on this page. So different departments they can get engaged with, a little bit more about the mission of that organization or the work that they're doing. Of course, their website, highlights in the neighborhood of places they can see themselves living. We found this to be especially popular with college students who are interested to maybe live somewhere else or try someplace new or really visualize their full lifestyle outside of work in here as well. And then of course on the side, we also like to feature different resources. So maybe there's some cool new project that an employer was working on. They want to share that news with job seekers. That can also be featured on here as well.
I apologize for interrupting, but you're still on your PowerPoint right now.
Oh, so sorry about that.
All good. Just didn't want you to keep going.
All right. Let's see. Hopefully this works okay. Now can you see me okay? This page? So sorry about that.
Logic. All good.
Great. Anyway, well, as I was saying, we like to provide a little bit more information about the employer profile here, just with the about a statement, what's in the neighborhood, the different resources on the side here. Thank you so much, Natalie, for flagging that. Really appreciate it. Moving right along to what a candidate profile looks like here. Again, we like to lean into that human-centered approach and help provide a little bit more information about that job seeker. So you can see their professional experiences, their resume, contact information. Their recruiter says is a miniature recommendation letter that the recruiter actually writes for that candidate. Again, to give the employer a little bit more insight into what that candidate can be a good fit for job-wise. And then on this side of the page here, you can really see where some of that matching algorithm data is really drawn from. So what types of roles they're looking for, what types of factors for employment they're looking for, if they really are looking to make a big social impact, really interested in upward mobility, flexible schedule, and of course their character traits based on a character-based interview in their meeting with a recruiter and their skills and expertise. All this, again, really to drive intentional connections between employers and job seekers. And so what that looks like, kind of more operationalized in the platform, is candidates can see their matches to these roles based on their skills match, their work style match, and network fit. And employer users can use this to filter for candidates that they think would be a good fit for their organization and kind of get some more of those insights. At a very high level, that's kind of the basics of the network platform. And I would love to field any questions towards the end of our time together today. Let's see if I can do this share right now. It's because I'm going to go back to our screen, or the slideshow rather. All right. Did I do the transition okay this time? Awesome. Thank you so much. Cool. So of course, to kind of get into some more the details of what network partnership looks like for employers, really the biggest thing that we look for is feedback and helping us find the right roles for your organization to post on the platform. Ascend is a completely free resource through the remainder of this year and all of next year for employers to utilize. So during that time, we're just trying to build a tool that folks really see as helpful to help them secure those early in career positions. And then kind of along the side here, the next slide, you can see some of the employer partners that we work with. Many of these are in the Uplands region that we've been able to have some success with over the last 3 years since we've launched the Ascend network. And then right after that, we can also feature the 29 different employer partners that we're currently working with here. So that's kind of where we're finding the students that we're connecting with. So to kind of walk through what the employer onboarding process looks like, really what we do is I actually lead forward all the introductory sort of work. So if you or someone at your organization or an employer that you know of really wants to learn more about the Ascend network, they would meet with me. I would discuss kind of more about the platform and how exactly we can help. And then once that employer kind of articulates that interest, we would kick them off, build them that employer profile so they could publish those roles on the platform. And then from there, we really want it to be an ongoing relationship with that employer, sending candidates that we think could be a good fit for them, and then also kind of incorporating feedback based on areas that we can improve. So that's what that process looks like. And then for those of you who maybe aren't an employer but want to share with some of your connections how you can get in touch with Ascend, really the main things that we're looking for are employers that currently or regularly are hiring on a relatively consistent basis for some of those early in career opportunities. And if there are roles that would be relevant to folks who complete 4-year degrees. You can highlight that we're a nonprofit offering a free talent matching platform through the end of 2021, and that we do a lot of that heavy lifting work that I mentioned that other recruitment teams usually are doing themselves, going to those career fairs, doing some of that sort of stuff. And then of course, using that link there, you can also fill out the employer connection form, which lets me know that the employer is interested, and then I can reach out and begin that conversation. So lastly, You can feel free to take down my contact information here. If you or if someone you know might be interested in this organization, I'd be happy to chat more. We really see the work that we do at Ascend complementary to the many initiatives that are for the state to help make Indiana a place of economic opportunity for all. So a real pleasure for us to be here today and talk to the great folks in the Uplands area. And I'm happy to connect with any questions as we move forward here. So thank you all for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jake. Also great to hear about that growth for Ascend and really the details of the matchmaking. I, of course, love to see that screen that we do have some employer partners from the region that are engaging. Would love to see that grow for our talent in terms of being able to have that platform and matchmaking from talent to employers. So appreciate that. I think I saw one question, cost to employer, you said the end of 2021. Do you know more about those details of what that might look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're not exactly sure what the contribution model will look like in the future. It's beginning in 2022. But what I can say is it'll really vary a lot by the employer. So depending on like their size, the scale of hiring that they're doing, some of that information. Employer partners that are interested in the network, we can kind of work with them all throughout next year to determine what the best path forward is looking like that. But we're kind of still figuring it out. But I can promise it'll be communicated very well in advance.
Great. Thank you. Thanks. Any other questions for Jake? Is there an interest in expanding to high school recruiting?
Yes, great question. So that's definitely something that's on our radar right now in Central Indiana, and we're kind of really hyper focused on helping those folks get connected to apprenticeship opportunities, some of those really here in the central part of the state. And then once we kind of figure that out with a little bit smaller audience, our plan is to definitely expand that in the coming years. We're still in the very beginnings of that conversation, so hopefully someday.
Great, thanks. We are also very much interested in hearing more about that. And Mike, what does that landscape for the high school space look like for you for Indiana INTERNnet?
I had just written a note down when we went to the full team to be able to answer that. So we are similarly expanding into the high school work-based learning space. The Earn Indiana program that I mentioned around the wage reimbursement has actually been approved for expansion into school work-based learning experiences as well. So that is beginning with the grad pathways class of 2023. So I've been saying that for about a year now and keep thinking that that's going to be forever away. And then I realized that's actually pretty soon for high school juniors and seniors. So so for existing relationships, especially with employers who want to support but don't have the funding, that can be a way to help encourage them to take on high school students as part of their talent recruitment strategy.
Great to hear that that's expanding. Thank you. Thanks. We also have a great question from Joe Timbrook, just about, specific to our region being rural and smaller employers. A lot of the employers, Jake, on your list are larger employers. Do you have a specific strategy for being in and working in the rural region with smaller employers?
Yeah, that's a great question. So to answer your question, Joe, we really work with employers of all different backgrounds. There are large enterprise organizations that we work with, and there's also really small startups that have 1 or 2 full-time employees that we work with, so long as they have those opportunities on the platform. As far as like recruitment strategies for rural regions, really the main strategy that we've worked with is we work with as many colleges as possible, because we know that students come from all over. And I think from our experience, the #1 thing that students are looking for, even more than a really great opportunity, is something that's close to home, because they don't have to pay for housing, because not every internship is paid. So I think for me, at least, our experience has been we're very open to rural opportunities, because we have students on the network that are from all over the state, and maybe they're not able to spend a summer in Evansville or spend a summer in Fort Wayne. They want to spend a summer closer to home. And so that's something that we've been really focused on. So the enterprise or organizations, I think in the past for us have been really a little bit easier for us to get in contact with, just being centered in Indianapolis. But now that we're expanding statewide, we really want to open up that conversation for all employers, because we think we can really help them. So hopefully that answers your question. It's definitely something on our mind.
Okay, we do still get to hear from Alison with Engage Mentoring before we move on to just a broader conversation with the whole group. Alison?
Hello, thank you so much for having me. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Just
Yep.
wanted to make sure. Okay. I'm Alison Martin with Engage Mentoring, and we are thrilled to be partnering. It's been so great to be a part of our discussion today about talent, and we're thrilled to be partnering with the Indiana Chamber of Commerce as well as the Indiana Commission for Higher Ed to build the largest and most effective company-to-company mentoring program in the country. The whole intent behind this is really to help employers really skill up their workforce with mentors. So employees are able to access mentors on the basis of topics they want to learn more about, such as communication skills or public speaking skills. And at the same time, students are able to access the program through our partnership with the Commission for Higher Ed. Every 21st century scholar in the state of Indiana in their undergraduate program in college is able to access mentors in the community or through businesses. And I know you had asked about employer size. We work with employers of all sizes to really afford them the opportunity to have resources to support the development of their employees. Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties. And so as you think about the word mentor, I would love for you to think about who comes to mind for you when you hear that word, because you can think really immediately how impactful having that space or having that person to really share their perspective and help you develop as an individual has been on your own career. And by really kind of bringing this into the workplace, what we're doing is really addressing some challenges related to employee engagement as well as skill development. So we know at any given time right now, 73% of employees are actually actively looking for another job. So that should scare all of us in terms of employee engagement. And then coupled with that, employers are often, they rate soft skills as a critical priority, yet rising to meet the needs of every single employee is a really daunting challenge when you consider every employee has different developmental needs and opportunities. And then you factor in the five generations are now working in the workplace. And each passing generation is actually shrinking in terms of average tenure. So the last study that was done showed that boomers have an average tenure of about 10 years. Gen Xers have about 5 years. Millennials is 2, which is what you see on your screen. Gen Z is between 1 and 2. And the one that's projected to come up behind Gen Z is actually predicted to be less than that. So you've got a shrinking average tenure. We're spinning our wheels to get people into our organization, and then developing their skills is a critical priority. And yet employee engagement is still at an all-time low. So we know mentoring works, and that's why the Indiana Chamber of Commerce, in conjunction with their Center for Workforce Excellence, has brought this program forward, and we're working with them to build the largest and most effective. When I say company to company, what that means is that employees are able to access mentors both inside the company as well as externally through a broad mentoring community. And it's really exciting to be doing this right here in Indiana with the Chamber and some other great partners, including the Indiana INTERNnet. And so we know that mentoring works because employees will actually report, 95% of them report that it motivates them to do better work, which leads to higher productivity. And if you really pause and think about it, in fact, I don't know if you've ever taken that Gallup survey that, that assesses employee engagement. One of the questions on there is, do you have a best friend at work? And we always used to chuckle at that question. But the intent behind that is, do you have somebody who cares about your development? Do you have someone who's pouring into you? And so employers of all sizes, we all know that we're naturally mentoring one another, but to really give employees the structure and the ability to connect to that perspective and be intentional about it really speaks volumes as an employer, but also helps create those retention strategies and really helps meet people where they are in terms of development, which leads to greater levels of retention. So what the engagement mentoring program is, it's a plug and play program. So we work with employers, again, of all sizes, on the initial selection of the employees that are right for this opportunity. And then they're able to go into a database where they're accessing mentors, again, both inside and outside of the company on the basis of skills. So when you thought of the word mentor earlier, what might have someone who came to mind for you might have been 20 years out in front of you. Maybe it was an old boss or something along those lines who followed the same career path. And while you may find those people in a program like this, what we're really centered around is this idea of upskilling. So helping employees really think about what their developmental opportunities are, and connecting with mentors to do so as a very efficient way for people to learn and at the same time meet new people through this broad network, and also develop their own leadership capacities by serving as mentors to others. We provide metrics related to the number of hours of mentoring that takes place, as well as feedback, and also data around how the skills are growing in your particular workforce. So this is what the software actually looks like. So you'll see this is a sample dashboard where in this case I'm teaching, so I'm mentoring someone else, and I'm learning about strategic relationships from Jane Smith. Another thing that's worth mentioning, and part of the reason that the Indiana Chamber contracted us to build this program, is because the need for connectivity has perhaps never been greater on the back end of some really challenging times. A lot of people are now working in isolation, they're working from home. And so to be able to access mentoring either through phone call or through a web conferencing like Skype or Google Hangout or Zoom is really a powerful way to help keep people connected and to help them build relationships during a really incredibly challenging time. The other reason that this is timely is because mentoring is a powerful tool for inclusion. So for many employers, that diversity inclusion has really bubbled up to the surface in terms of priority, and especially in the recent months. And so providing access to relationships and providing an environment where people feel supported has also perhaps never been more critical than ever. And so, so for those reasons, this program has been built in such a way that, you know, people use the software to connect, but on the back end is a meaningful relationship focused on topics that are going to help your employees grow. And then you'll notice that we have courses that are designed to really help people understand how to approach the mentoring conversation, whether they're a mentor or a mentee. And at the same time, they can earn badges and other cool things as part of continued engagement. So each year, people typically would apply for this program, and then as the employer, you would select the people that would participate. We onboard them with an orientation, and then it's a 12-month program where, again, they're able to access mentors for their own development, and if they're willing, share their perspective with others as a mentor as well. So here are some of our current partners that we are working on. So we are working together with a statewide steering committee and a lot of great leaders and a lot of great partners, talent regions throughout the state to help us really promote this effort. But the rollout for this is in January. Our goal is to have 60 partners when we roll this out in January. So now is a great opportunity for us to really chat about this if talent development is a priority, mentoring, and also improving your talent pipeline. And ultimately what we're driving towards is higher levels of employee engagement, helping employers better attract and retain talent. If you can tell an employee that as part of working for you, they get access to a structured mentoring program, it speaks volumes about you as an employer, and it's particularly attractive for the newer generations who are coming into the workplace and are really hungry for feedback and really hungry for development opportunities, which are normally afforded only to the executives or people who are in leadership programs. So this is a way to offer some development for people at all levels. Also to help aid in succession planning and the knowledge transfer that needs to occur. Ultimately, we're building stronger managers and leaders. So on one hand, they're connecting to mentors for topics that are important to them in terms of their own development, but at the same time, if the employers, as I said earlier, the students participate as mentee only through that partnership with the Commission for Higher Ed. So employees are invited to consider being both mentor and mentee, so mentoring on topics where they have some relevant experience. And I would argue there's no better way to teach someone how to be a leader than to teach them how to mentor. So part of the intent of this program also is building your leadership capacity within your organization and shifting cultures to a place where people feel not only supported, but they know what it means to pour into others, and they know how to access resources in a culture where people are willing to share. So that's an important one to highlight. We talked a little bit about the diversity inclusion piece. And the community impact piece comes with the partnerships with nonprofits and universities where students are able to access this program, which certainly has impact and hopefully will lead to us retaining more talent in the state of Indiana, which is another reason that the Indiana Chamber of Commerce has chosen to develop this program. But the purpose of that also is to, as I said earlier, round out the talent development initiative to encourage more employees, not just to see themselves as mentees, but also as mentors. So I'll end that by saying you can learn more about us both at the Indiana Chamber of Commerce website in their Center for Workforce Excellence or by visiting our website directly at engagementoring.com.
Thank you, Allison. Wow, just, really to be able to hear the specifics of your platform and what it offers, echoing this morning too what we heard from our sector panel in terms of being able to support employees in a meaningful way. You don't always get to have with an organization or a structured mentoring program. It takes a lot of time, resources, and energy that's so incredibly needed. And we're really interested in being able to see, that talent, those employees be able to stay in our region and feel that support.